Hello, my name is Miranda from the Australian Centre for Education and Training, also known as ACET-global, and today I will be talking a little bit about the importance of education and the environment. So first off, ACET-global is an education consultancy aiming to transform businesses, individuals and communities through education. If you'd like to learn more about what we do and why, take a look at the short introductory webinar on our website. In this presentation today, I'll be presenting some research undertaken in one project of our Corporate Social Responsibility Program. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live. Here in our Melbourne office, that is the Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations. We recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community, and we pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. So a little bit about me. My name's Miranda. I am a Business Relations Officer here at ACET-global. At university, I studied international relations and sociology with a particular interest in environmental policy, management and communication. Some of my hobbies include sport, camping, cooking and travel. This is Daniela. She may be talking on another day, so I'll introduce her briefly now. She is also a Business Relations Officer here at ACET-global, as well as a CSR project supervisor. At uni, she studied environmental science and has a particular interest in community engagement and education. Her hobbies include dance, art and camping. So now that you know a little bit about us, let's get into it. Today, I will be talking specifically about one CSR project of ACET-global, which is the Global Water Management Project, or GWMP. Our work in the GWMP aims to increase awareness of the importance of protecting water as a vital resource, and it aims to provide tools for individuals to make more water-conscious choices in everyday life. In this presentation, I will share some of this research undertaken by our team within this project. We will first look at the main water resource related issues that sustainable water management practices aim to address, which are water scarcity and poor water quality, and what the impacts of these issues are, and therefore why it's so important to learn about it and act on it. Next, we will explore some key solutions and water management practices which should be expanded and adopted by organisations, governments and individuals in order to make a tangible difference. First, what is the problem? Well, number one, water scarcity. Today, global water resources are under increased stress due to various anthropological factors such as global warming and climate change, industrialisation, and the changing land use such as deforestation. The Earth's available fresh water is dispersed across channels like rivers, lakes, and underground aquifers, which are naturally replenished by rain and snowfall. However, humans are increasingly depleting these sources faster than they can be renewed. According to the United Nations, approximately currently 2/3 of the global population experience severe water scarcity during at least 1 month of the year. The UNEP has predicted that under current practices, the demand for water is likely to exceed supply by 40% in 2030, at which time half of the world's population is expected to suffer severe water stress. It's important to note that water shortages aren't just happening somewhere far away in the world. The city of Perth, for example, is experiencing warmer temperatures and a decrease in rainfall as a result of climate change. This has caused a major decrease in water capture in dams from 300 billion litres a year to 25 billion litres a year, leading one WA minister to call Perth's dams virtually redundant. Because of this, Perth is facing a crucial shortage of non-drinking water, putting Perth's green spaces, vegetation, wetlands and trees at risk, with massive flow-on ecological and social impacts, including potential loss of First Nations culture. Despite this, Perth residents use on average 335 litres of water a day each. Another key problem is water quality. and the pollution of natural water sources. Unsustainable land use practices and inadequate management of wastewater and stormwater, especially in urban settings, can lead to toxic pollution of waterways, the spread of pathogens such as E. coli and cholera, and eutrophication, which is when a body of water becomes progressively enriched with minerals and nutrients, causing algae blooms, which are often very toxic and harmful to forms of life. You can see that pictured here on the bottom right. So why is this important? Why is water scarcity and water quality something we should care about? Well, there are significant and immediate impacts on all aspects of life. For one, access to clean, safe water is essential for human health and sustaining life. That's no secret. Poor water quality and inadequate management of wastewater and drinking water can cause public health crises, including the spread of disease. Poor sanitation and hygiene causes the death of approximately 800 children a day, and it disproportionately affects people in lower middle income countries. As for the impact on the environment, adequate water quality and water availability is essential for the functioning of all ecosystems. This means that water scarcity and pollution of water sources threatens wildlife and biodiversity, causing problems along the food chain and threatening animal extinction. Water scarcity can also have impacts on agricultural productivity, therein threatening food insecurity for certain communities. Because of these factors, water issues will likely cause mass forced displacement. The UN has predicted that 700 million people worldwide will be displaced by 2030 due to intense water scarcity. This will put significant economic pressure on receiving nations and will threaten the loss of long-standing and Indigenous cultures. As we can see, mitigating water scarcity and addressing poor water quality directly and indirectly relates to many of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So what are the solutions? Water management is a broad topic. There are many sustainable practices in many areas of life that can be adopted to better manage our water resources in order to mitigate the negative impacts of water scarcity and poor water quality. Today, I will introduce you to a number of these solutions which ACET-global and our team have found through various research projects. The first water management solution I will discuss is ecological restoration through reforming our urban stormwater systems. Stormwater systems are separate to sewerage. Their aim is to prevent flash flooding by quickly moving excess rainwater out of an urban area. After heavy rain, however, stormwater can become heavily polluted. This is because water flowing across the landscape can pick up various types of pollutants, including garden waste, such as leaf litter, grass clippings, etc. Animal waste, primarily dog droppings that are not picked up. Chemicals, including fertilizers and pesticides, as well as those from industry. General litter, like waste and cigarettes and packaging. Oil and grease, primarily from vehicles. And soil, mostly from construction sites. So when this heavily polluted stormwater enters our urban waterways, such as city wetlands and beaches, it makes them toxic and unsafe for humans, aquatic life, and ecosystems. The major issue with these current day stormwater systems is that the water flows through highly artificial concrete streams, like the one pictured previously, which gives nature no chance to filter the water. However, restoring wetlands and using them as natural stormwater drainage systems rather than these concrete channels has many benefits. It improves water quality by filtering out nutrients to reduce eutrophication. It restores healthy levels of certain microbes and nutrients. It reduces soil runoff, and at the same time, it also restores lost ecosystems and can improve biodiversity. These benefits are shown in the Elstonwick Park Nature Reserve here in Melbourne. In 2018, the Elstonwick Park golf course, pictured on the left, closed to establish the Elstonwick Park Nature Reserve, pictured on the right. The reserve receives water from the Elster Creek, which carries stormwater from nearby suburbs. The water that passes through the reserve enters the Elwood Canal and then Port Phillip Bay. The reserve has been an ecological success, demonstrating several positive impacts on the surrounding area and water quality, including instigating a return of native species, creating a nutrient sink where excess nutrients are filtered out, which avoids eutrophication, and mitigates floods, which Elwood is especially susceptible to. Moving on, another action which will be important for ensuring that our water management practices are effective and sustainable in addressing water scarcity and poor water quality is reforming our wastewater treatment processes. Melbourne's wastewater system was developed in the late 19th century. Before this, raw sewage flowed down city streets. So these facilities play a crucial and highly valued role in treating the wastewater to remove bacteria, certain nutrients, and pathogens. This treatment has many benefits, including that the treated water can be reused for agriculture and industry. However, there are also several downfalls to the process, which suggest that the long-used practice is unsustainable and it does not address the growing threat of water scarcity. Because, for one example, the water is largely treated to be disposed of and cannot be reused for drinking. In addition, the facilities are ill-equipped to deal with our changing climate, as they are very susceptible to damage from extreme weather events, such as floods. And with this in mind, some environmentalists are calling for the adoption of new wastewater treatment and management practices which can overcome these issues. One solution is expanding the use of waterless toilets, which minimizes the amount of wastewater entering our systems. As part of our Global Sanitation and Sustainability Project, which is another CSR project of ACET-global, we have developed a sustainable waterless toilet scheme. We have worked to develop a low-cost, environmentally friendly, culturally appropriate, dry, portable unit that minimizes water usage, and which has also been designed to work in all geographic regions and climatic conditions. Widespread adoption of waterless toilets would have many benefits, including increasing hygiene awareness and creating multiple local jobs, but also especially reducing overall water usage and minimizing wastewater production, which will in turn reduce pressure on overrun wastewater treatment facilities and minimize issues related to poor water quality, therefore proving to be a significantly more sustainable option. If you'd like to learn more about this project, check out our ACET-global website at acetglobal.com/global sanitation and sustainability project. Next, another action which will be crucial for ensuring sustainable management of our water resources is the reformation of production and consumption practices in the fashion industry. The fashion industry, especially fast fashion, is notoriously unsustainable and environmentally damaging, including when it comes to water management. For one, growing, manufacturing, and producing clothing is very water intensive. 93 billion cubic meters of water are consumed by the industry every year, which is enough to meet the needs of 5 million people. This is particularly because cotton, which makes up 33% of all textile fibers, is one of the most water-intensive crops. A cotton t-shirt takes 2,700 litres of water to grow and produce, which is enough for one person to drink in 2.5 years. Cotton production in arid environments has contributed to sea basins drying up. For example, the Aral Sea in Central Asia, pictured here in the top right, has almost disappeared due to cotton farmers abstracting water from the Amu Darya and Sir Darya. In addition, 5 trillion litres of water is used worldwide each year for fabric dyeing alone. That is enough to fill 2 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. Meanwhile, this textile dyeing is the world's second largest polluter of water, as the leftover water from the dyeing process is often discharged into nearby rivers. streams, and water sources, releasing toxins and heavy metals into the environment. At the same time, the fashion industry is also responsible for 20% of global wastewater and 9% of total microplastics lost to the ocean each year. So in order to address water overconsumption and excessive pollution and wastewater generation by the fashion industry, companies and governments need to work towards developing a circular economy for fashion. This is a cycle in which innovation and design prioritize environmental sustainability, including reduced water use, and products are designed to have a maximized lifetime, then are recycled when unwearable to be turned into new clothing. This process combats the current take, make, waste process, which produces the environmental consequences mentioned prior. Companies should adhere to these standards, such as companies like Patagonia, which have done an incredible job to reject fast fashion. And governments should be encouraged to support this cycle through regulation policies such as minimum quality standards for clothing. And finally, as individuals, we have a role to play to practice conscious consumption of clothing to minimize our indirect environmental impact of the clothes we wear. Next up, another key action is reforming our agricultural practices. Agriculture is by far the largest user of available water. However, many of the traditional water use practices in farming are wasteful, excessive, and ineffective. Therefore, to address the issue of water scarcity, it is crucial to reform our farming practices to use water more sustainably. One example practice is drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is a type of micro-irrigation system in which water drips slowly to the roots of plants, either from above the soil surface or buried below the surface. This system has the potential to save water and nutrients compared to other irrigation techniques like a sprinkler system, seen here on the right, making it a more sustainable option. Another example is vertical farming. This is where crops are grown without soil using hydroponics with artificial lights, heaters, and other equipment. There are many benefits as vertical farming helps plants develop faster and produces larger yields as there's no soil to compete with incoming nutrients. Vertical farms are also not impacted by the weather in season, meaning all crops can be in season year round, and have overall shorter growing cycles and longer shelf lives. Therein making vertical farming a more sustainable farming practice by ensuring food security, minimizing food waste, and by better managing water availability. Another way to pursue sustainable agriculture is by drawing on Indigenous knowledge of land and water management. This is because Indigenous knowledge is often based on deep-seated values of respect for nature and in ensuring natural resource longevity. The Australian government is currently doing some work to integrate Indigenous interests in national water management policy, including through the Cultural Flows Program and the Aboriginal Waterways Assessment Program, which aim to ensure the inclusion of First Nation voices in water management around the Murray-Darling Basin. Finally, let's look at our individual actions. Individual behaviour change can play a powerful role in reducing water demand and therefore managing the water scarcity issue. Currently, Australians consume an unsustainable amount of water, on average 100,000 litres per person per year. There are various easy actions people can take to minimise their indoor water consumption, shown in this graph here. Some include only using the washing machine once it's full, taking shorter showers, turning the tap off while brushing your teeth, and only using the half-flush toilet. More impactfully, however, individuals should focus on minimising their indirect water consumption. About 90% of our water consumption in Australia is indirect, meaning that it comes from the products and services we consume. As mentioned earlier, the agricultural industry, for one, accounts for more water use than any other industry alone. Therefore, one key individual action with a massive impact on water use is changing our food consumption behaviour. There are 4 key ways to do this. Number 1, reducing food consumption by reducing your food waste. According to the Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment in 2021, Australia uses around 2,600 gigalitres of water to grow food that is wasted. This is equal to the amount of water in 5 Sydney harbours. Additionally, choosing comparable products which use less water is a key action. For example, choosing cow's milk from a dairy company with better water management practices. Number 3, select types of food which use less water in place of products which use more water. For example, choosing to eat chicken as a meat rather than beef. And number 4, adopt a vegetarian style. A lot of water is used for livestock farming and in producing animal products, more so compared to vegetarian agriculture. Finally, conceptualizing the gravity and scale of topics like water scarcity or climate change can be difficult, and as individuals, we can sometimes feel overwhelmed. Eco-anxiety is the worry about current and future harm to the environment caused by human activity, and it's something you may feel or encounter at some point. I definitely do myself. There are resources online to help with this, including from Psychologists for a Safe Climate and from the Australian Conservation Foundation, that can all help provide perspective when encountering these feelings. It's important, though, to remind ourselves of the real power of individual action, because through everyday choices, you can actively help in mitigating these environmental impacts through not only reforming our own actions to minimize our direct and indirect water use, but also by consciously exercising our consumer power and our democratic voting power, we can support others who support the planet. The earth we live on is home to us all, and we should all be conscious of the impact we leave for not only us, but for those around us and for those to come. So thank you for listening. I hope that from this presentation, you learn a little bit more about water management and the importance of water as a vital resource and protecting it as best we can. We encourage you to look at the resources on our website and online and further educate yourselves and others by discussing these topics with those around you. If you'd like to intern at ACET-global and contribute toward research on our CSR projects, including that from the Global Water Management Project, please reach out to us through our email on our website. We would love to have you. Thanks.